Hello and good evening, everyone. I wanted to make a video. I haven't made any videos in a fair while. Been busy with a lot of different things. Summertime, we have a lot of special events that we're going to right now. So I kind of really wanted to just make a follow-up video on the Bambu Labs X2D. I got mine the day after the launch, so I ordered it the night of the launch, and it literally came the next day. So I don't know what I done forgot. I couldn't tell you. I think it's roughly 3 months, 4 months ago, something like that. But I've had it almost since day one, whenever it was launched, and you know I've had time to really use it. I don't know exactly how many hours on it. I think it's probably somewhere around 1,500 hours. Already done service, I think 2 or 3 times. So it's been heavily used. And I also have my P2S, my other machines as well. But the thing that has really stood out to me, looking back in just real world usage, that is so much better in my opinion than the P2S. Now for me, I'm talking about for me, I do primarily 2-color prints, something like this, where I have a base color and some text in another color. The same thing with something like this. So you would have a couple of layers of text on the bill plate, and then you would have a base color. So and then I have another part which has to have supports. This one right here has got supports. So for my usage, the X2D is fantastic. Not everybody's gonna have the same use case as I do, but I have the H2D, which is also a dual nozzle machine, and it works good. But I will tell you this, from many hours of using this, the X2D for supports, hands down, is faster than the H2D is. The nozzle changeover is much quicker on the X2D than it is on the H2D. They both will accomplish the same thing, but the X2D is just faster. It just is. So a few other things that I really have noticed. Number one, on the P2S, the way the carriage moves back and forth. Now these may be minute and very nitpicky things, but I think the average user could have some value in my thoughts, and that's why I wanted to make this video. The carriage on the P2S, the way it moves back and forth and has to hit the cutter every time the carriage moves back and forth. You hear that clang 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 clang, a loud banging noise. I mean, it's somewhat annoying. Okay. The other thing that it does is it has to sit there and goes all the way to the one side, goes back to the middle, goes to the back, comes back forward, goes over, goes back, comes back, and then it goes back and forth twice, and then it comes back to the middle, and it'll hone the bed, level the bed. After it levels the bed, it goes back and does all that again. And I mean, it sits there and just repetitively has to home itself. This is something that the X2D is much better at, and the number one, you don't hear any of that clanging, banging from the cutter. The way the X2D cuts the filament is the head goes back against the back of the machine and cuts it, and that's it. You never hear no clanging, banging like you do on the H2D or the P2S. The other thing is they have really cut down the necessity of having to rehome. It still homes, but it will do it one time, and it'll do a double take, but it's much quicker. And the homing process is so much quicker on the X2D than it is on the P2S. So that's another thing that, in my opinion, is small, but small things is what really makes the difference. I have not had any issues with my X2D. I know there's people out there that have, but mine has been pretty much flawless. I maintain it, I take care of it. It runs almost constantly, and it's been a great machine. I run my P2S, which just finished. I run it quite a bit as well. But it's just one of those things that you start to find out little nuances about your machines, and everybody is wanting to know, should I buy a P2S or should I get an X2D? And my answer to that, and if I had to buy another one, I would definitely, hands down, would buy an X2D. Even if the P2S was $200 cheaper, I would still buy the X2D for my use case. And I might be adding another one or two of them, later this year or early next year as it is. The H2D is a great printer, especially if you need the build volume or if you want to print a lot of things. I find in most of the prints that I do, I generally can't get more than about 4 items on my build plate and be able to have a good quality print. So I try not to overcrowd things. I can obviously print more on the H2D than I can on these other smaller frame printers. The H2D, great machine, absolutely fantastic. To me, it's probably, aside from the banging noise of the cutter, it's quieter. The P2S is probably by far the loudest, and then the X2D is, I don't care what anybody else says, I've got one here, I've got one there, and another one back there. The X2D is quieter. It's been measured with the sound decibel meter. It's just quieter. I don't care what anybody says. I know maybe it's just me and my ears, but I know for a fact it's quieter. And so, but anyway, that's one of those things. Let me see. As far as everything else on it, I really haven't had to dig into mine, like into the extruder or anything. I haven't even had a nozzle clog on the X2D. I did have one on the P2S the other day, and that was a my fault issue because I generally don't print very much with PLA, but I did print some stuff and then I forgot, and just my fault. Something, sometimes we make mistakes, we do things. But anyway, so I don't know really. I think that's about all I really wanted to cover. We do have a Bambu Lab X2D Owners Facebook group. If you would like to follow that group, I think we're getting up around close to 5,000 subscribers on there. Not subscribers, but members in the group. And so, if you ever need help or whatever, feel free to jump in there and post your question. There's always lots of people hanging out in there. And but anyway, that's my update. I'm just sitting here rambling on, and I know I'm not a professional YouTuber, so I don't have the proper lighting and the sound equipment, so you just have to deal with it. But that's my update for the 3-4 months, whatever it's been. The X2D is an absolutely fantastic printer. I have done multicolor, with the 2 nozzles. Mainly I did it for testing because in the beginning everybody was on this bashing train about how it's not for that and you can only use it for supports. And so I did it on purpose just to satisfy my own curiosity. And honestly, for most prints, you really can't tell the difference in the quality. I printed several different multicolor objects. I posted pictures, asked people to tell me which color was printed with the main nozzle, which color was printed with the auxiliary nozzle. It was about 50-50. Most people could not tell. Now, yeah, they're probably, depending on your geometry, there could be some types that just may not be as good with the auxiliary nozzle, but especially for the stuff that I do, as you saw, was pretty plain, mostly flat surfaces and things like that. It's perfectly fine for that. And you got to remember, the printing community today came from the old, Ender clone days, that all they used was a Bowden extruder, and the technology has gotten much better. I'm okay with it. I mean, like I said, now if I was going to be doing, 5-color artsy fartsy, craft things, I would probably not use it for that. I would probably go with something more like the H2C or the Snapmaker or something like that. I don't do that much of that stuff, so for me, it's a non-issue. But the X2D is a great printer. If you're on the fence about it, if you're trying to decide between the P2S or the X2D, I love my P2S. It stays just about as busy as the X2D does. But I will run the parts that need the supports. I will run them on the X2D, especially if it's a part that has 50 or 60, color swaps because of the supports. I'm definitely going to run it on the X2D versus the P2S. It's just way faster and hardly no waste at all. But that's my take. Take it for what it's worth. Thank you for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.